Brave warriors of Kaith's End, I bring grim tidings. Our plea for aid from the Astra Militarum has been rejected. There will be no reinforcements, no supply convoys, no salvation from beyond our world. I had hoped that reason might move the Adeptus Ministorum. But I was a fool. The priesthood has abandoned us. They call our war against the heretics unwinnable, a lost cause not worth their sacred coin or soldiers. They whisper that the corruption born in Kaith's crown has spread too far. Its poison seeping through the veins of every world in this system. From the safety of their marble halls, the scribes and administrators, men who have never known the stink of blood or the thunder of artillery, declare our struggle already lost. They call themselves guardians of faith. Yet they believe heresy can be contained by parchment and decree. We know better. We have seen what their cowardice has wrought. These are the same hollow men who turned their gaze away as my cousin, once loyal, now damned, twisted his planet and people to ruin. I remember the reports they sent me then. Production doubling, then tripling. Workers singing hymns as they toiled through 30 harsh shifts. The administratum hailed it as a miracle of devotion, a beacon of imperial industry. And so they raised our tithe, demanding that Kaith's End match this newfound zeal. They never saw the truth behind the numbers, the rot beneath the hymns, the worship twisted into something unholy. They called it faith. I called it the first sign of damnation. Loyalty to the Imperium, they said. But I smelled the stench of corruption long before their words reached me. When I begged for the Inquisition's gaze upon my cousin's world, they sent not inquisitors but bureaucrats, pale perfumed men of ink and ledgers. They spoke of manageable deviation from imperial standards, their mouths full of lies and excuses. They saw profit where they should have seen damnation. Their greed blinded them to the price being paid in human souls. My cousin's heresy, they decided, was too efficient, too productive to extinguish. The tithe must be paid, they told me. To them, the Emperor's will was measured in quotas and shipments, not in purity or faith. I could not abide it. I could not let their worship of my bloated, corrupted kin continue. So I made ready, quietly, patiently. For years I gathered weapons in secret caches, bribed inspectors to look the other way, and diverted portions of the imperial tithe for our own defense. Many of you questioned my zeal as I scoured the cities and wastelands alike, hunting the smallest trace of the heresy that had seduced our former allies. I heard your doubts when I founded the Noct Vigilum, the Night Watch, our hidden police. My eyes in the dark. No one was beyond their reach. No noble, no priest, no guildmaster. Any who threatened the planet's soul were brought before us. Any voice that whispered doubt, that showed too much flexibility of thought, was silenced for the sake of Kaith's End. Perhaps I was too zealous in my investigations. I will not deny it, there was blood. Many of you lost kin during the purges. Their bodies burned upon our funeral pyres, their ashes scattered to the wind. Yet I have never asked of you any sacrifice that I myself was unwilling to make. The fires that consumed your families consumed mine as well. I turned my scrutiny upon the fifth royal line with the same merciless resolve. None were spared my judgment. Not nobles, not allies, not even those I once called friends. I had to be certain, utterly certain, that no shadow of heresy remained. I looked into their eyes, searching for the Emperor's light, and too often found only the reflection of my own doubt. There are moments when I wish things had been different, when I long to believe it was all a nightmare, that my loved ones still live, untainted, that I could wake beside my wife and feel her hand in mine. She would whisper that there was nothing to fear, that our children slept safely in their beds, that the hounds dozed by the fire. For a fleeting breath, I could almost believe her. We would return to sleep beneath the Emperor's watchful gaze. But that world is gone. My wife, my brothers. My children, all revealed as traitors, plotters, and cowards hiding behind familiar faces. Their betrayal tore the heart from me, yet it also burned away any last illusion of peace. They were needed most where treachery hid, and they failed me. Yet there is no time for regret. What I did was terrible, but necessary. I could not risk the Imperium or the Arch, enemy, learning of our plans, while rot festered in our midst. So I steeled my hand and prepared Kai's end for the reckoning to come. The infection did not sleep. It crept from crown to undercity, and governments on neighboring worlds began to splinter and fall. The ruinous powers smelled weakness, and came to our gates confident and obscene. They expected a prey world. They expected feasting. They found instead the iron of Kaith's people. We seized the moment. From hidden emplacements, the volley of last fire opened like judgment, bright scars across the dusk. And when the magazines ran empty, we fought with bayonet and blade, close and ugly. The stench of smoke and ozone filled the streets. The taste of smoke and salt was on every lip. When fists met flesh, it was not revelry but desperate necessity, a raw answer to a blasphemy that would not be tolerated. We burned the offices and villas where corrupt imperial officials had counted our tithe and smiled. Their palaces became pyres. We dragged survivors from hiding, stripped them of the trappings that marked their comfort, and left them as living testimony. Their public punishment was meant to be both penance and warning. The Emperor's law must be seen and feared. From the parapets of the royal castle, I watched the city become a ledger of our resolve. Barricades rose like broken teeth along the avenues. Smoke braided through alleys. Every shattered gate and shuttered factory bore the mark of our defense. The PDF and the workers' brigades stood shoulder to shoulder with the Noct Vigilum. Their uniforms were smeared with ash and grit, their shoulders set like stone. Sacred duty had stained their hands, and in that stain I read a terrible devotion. You have given much, so have I. The cost is carved into the skyline, chimneys choking on ash bells that will not ring for a long while. Yet out of that sacrifice a single thing remains. Kaith's end still breathes. The heresy may claw and whisper, but here, under our watch, it will not be allowed to rise unchallenged. We have made our stand. We will hold it. Take heart, for I have heard your battle cries and seen the fury on your faces. I have seen PDF troopers, Planetary Defense Force, weeping with joy as their bayonets found the chests of the heretic. An ugly, honest moment of retribution. Young lads, scarcely old enough to shoulder a stub gun, stood steady beneath fire and the iron stare of the commissar. They did not flinch. Workers and brigade volunteers laughed through the tremor of detonations as their charges turned enemy positions into ruin. You felt the rage like blood in your veins, cleansing and clarifying, making the frightened into soldiers. That fury hardened your hands and steadied your aim. It taught each of you to meet the blasphemer without hesitation. As you fight, hold in your mind a different image of Kaith's end. Remember not the blasted streets and choking ash, but the quiet world it used to be. Picture green fields under a clear sky where the Emperor's light warmed the agri-rows. Picture village squares where children's laughter carried on golden mornings. Remember pilgrims finding shelter at any open door. Remember the small things, a steaming cup of recaf at dawn, the hush before the day's labor, the sun climbing slow over familiar roofs. Carry that memory with you when you must act. Recall what the arch enemy has stolen. Let that loss sharpen your purpose. When you close on an enemy, strike with the certainty of those who defend a home. Drive your blade true. Watch the light leave their eyes and know the debt is paid. Make no song of it. Only the knowledge that a corner of the Imperium endures because you stood. Look to the sky when doubt presses. Let the cold fire of the stars remind you that our struggle is part of a greater design. We fight not for glory, but for the shard of world we can save. Keep that image close. Fight with the steadiness of men who will not surrender their past or their future. Preserve Kaith's end with every breath. See it beyond the veil of ash and smoke. The sky is still there, clear and blue, hidden but not gone. Can you see it? Can you see the Emperor watching from above, my friends? He is smiling upon us. All unfolds as it was meant to. It was always meant to be this way, brutal, lonely, heartbreaking, and full of terror. This is the truth of devotion, the crucible of faith. You were meant to witness the terrible beauty of a sky set aflame. You were meant to see your comrades, the bravest souls you have ever known, lying face down in the mud, their duty fulfilled in silence. You were meant to feel the weight of loss, to hear the cries of those torn from your grasp, dragged screaming into the dark. All of it, every grief, every act of defiance, is part of the Emperor's plan. He watches, he sees. Every scream, every broken body, every soul flayed and spent in. We are but dust before his gaze. Yet it is through our suffering that his glory is revealed. We cannot hope to understand the depths of his purpose. We can only obey. His will is written in blood upon every battlefield, carved into the flesh of every martyr who dies with his name upon their lips. I do not know how much time remains to us, my friends. The enemy still claws at our walls, and the night grows long. But there is work yet to be done, wholly necessary work. Look to those who still stand beside you, your comrades, your kin, the last shards of your world. Take up your weapons once more. Seize your moment to die as true servants of the Imperium. Do not beg for salvation, for we are Kaith's end, and our faith is the fire that will burn until the last light fades. Mercy will not come. There is only the roar of battle and the thunder of our guns, only the sacred rhythm of blood spilled in his name. The streets run red, skulls rise in solemn tribute in every town square, and when the bombs fall, when the skies burn, and even the stones of Kaith's end cry out in agony, our voices will rise above it all. We shall become as gods of our own making, forged and purified in the blood of our enemies. So raise your blades, my brothers and sisters, raise them high. We will bleed this galaxy dry, and every drop spilled shall be an offering to him on Terra, the master of mankind, the eternal watcher who hungers for faith, for sacrifice, for blood everlasting. On Kaith's end, King Augustus Vath fights on. His coronet death cult marches at his side, fanatics in tattered regalia, chanting litanies of fire and steel as they wage a crusade to reclaim the Kaith system. They slaughter thousands in their corrupted devotion, believing every act of cruelty a prayer, every death a hymn to the Emperor. All contact with the wider Imperium has ceased. No astropathic signal pierces the storm. The system burns alone in silence.